Perfect. Welcome back to the next episode of the Clearly Crucial podcast. My name is Jesse, operations consultant, and I've got a very special guest with me today. This is Chaz Horn. How you doing, mister?
Good. Great to be here with you, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by. Chaz and I are in similar worlds here on LinkedIn. Me with the B2B operations, Chaz with B2B sales. And so today I thought it'd be a really powerful conversation to dive into exactly what the roles of clarity play when it comes to the sales process, particularly at a high level, because there's a lot of moving pieces and important things. We were just talking a minute before this recording about the expectations that you set with your prospect, making sure they're super clear on how this kind of conversation is going to go. And there's lots of nuance to that. So we won't spoil it too much. But Chaz, for everybody who doesn't know you, I'd love if you could just open up with a little bit about who you are, not necessarily what you do. We'll get into that, but a little bit about kind of what your journey has been like leading to you to this entrepreneurial online space, and particularly in the world of B2B sales.
Well, helping people know and understand how to sell today started with being the worst salesperson in the world.
Okay.
That's no hyperbole, by the way. Out
Mm.
of 119 salespeople, I was 119. I was the absolute worst with zero zip nada sales. And at that point in time, it was my first sales position. Ken Upton, my boss, became my mentor when he had me over for dinner. And he said, Chaz, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of not making any money? I know you're making 100% commission and you have no sales. I was like, yes. I was 24. I was clueless. And Ken pulled me aside and he said, look, you can be. 3 words that changed my life. You can be. The reason is because I never thought I had much potential. And here's someone who I looked up to who said, I can be. I'm like, wow, I can be. And now he followed that with the top salesperson in the company. But you have to follow the system. You have to follow the process because it's proven. Chaz, we've spent hundreds of hours of getting this system and process together. And if you follow it, I 100% believe that you will be the top salesperson in the company. So 45 days later, I was number 3, not number 1, but I learned the importance of following a system, following a process, and understanding my mindset, belief in myself, and belief in the product. And then fast forward to 2016, I'm like, you know what? I want to be Ken Upton in other people's lives. And my why is to help people see and realize their potential. And with my experience in sales and marketing, that's what I do today. Nothing gives me more joy. I just had a client send me a recommendation and a video, and actually several this week, and them saying, Chaz, you helped me break through this. You helped me achieve something I didn't think possible. Nothing gives me more professional joy, Jesse, everyone out there, than helping my clients see and then realize their potential. That's my why.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Chaz. Yeah, I coming from a sales background as well, I know what it is to really do that for a prospect on the phone because you're not just selling a product, you're changing a life ideally. And so that makes sense that you've kind of taken that and put it into this new era, so to speak. I have my own story with that. For me, really being able to see the impact that better systems, like you just said, you had to have a good system in order to have those kind of results to begin with too. Just the kind of
Yep,
impact that can
most
have, not
definitely.
just for you, yeah, but the other 119, 118 sales reps as well. They all have that chance to strive for more because they have that process to follow. And so similar for me, whenever I'm able to make that difference with a company or with a business owner to where they can take more time off or they can spend less time fussing with things or just even see better, more consistent results, it really does just feel like for me, you're really putting value back into the world. So that's great that you found that kind of for you too. And so really, let's kind of just sit there for a second and unpack, like when you talk about um, the journey that you've been through, going from literally bottom of the barrel to number 3 in your company. Um, is it a lot of those same systems that you've now taken to working with your new clients, helping them apply, or is there anything you've learned and applied as you've gone through this journey since 2016 that you do now that really helps these different clients get better results?
Yes. So growing up in the sales world, you have sales, you have marketing. And a lot of times people misunderstand marketing, they misunderstand sales. I never thought salespeople, by the way, are the worst marketers. I am
True.
one of them. But I learned an important lesson, probably dating back to around 2013. When you understand marketing, which is about identifying the key need and want of your target audience, your prospective clients, your prospects, and you solve it in such a way that they have confidence in you, in me being able to solve their problem, our solution, or your service, your product, whatever it is, having confidence that you are the authority to help them solve their problem, it changes everything. The conversations go deeper, earlier in the conversations, and you onboard more clients with a greater frequency because that marketing component. So you ask me, with my journey, one of the key things that I learned with Ken, it was about attitude, having the right, we didn't use mindset back then, but attitude, perspective, mindset, that's key. If you don't believe in the product, ain't nothing going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in the product you're selling. And key distinction here, because I think this is really important for people. You could take an expert salesperson who understands soft skills, sales process, and then take a newbie who doesn't understand sales really, but believes in the product. The newbie will outsell the expert every time because
Right.
the belief in the product, the attitude is key. Now, so it was doing the certain behaviors in sales when I first got into it, like making a bunch of cold calls. And then it was about the attitude in following the script at that point in time to get people from here to there. And that's where they became your client. So I didn't learn a lot about, I had some tactics and techniques, but it was all attitude and then doing a certain number of reps, activities that move the needle, meaning scheduling meetings. If I did a certain amount of meetings, then I was going to onboard a certain amount of clients. And if I didn't, my attitude was off, my tactics and my techniques were off. But since then, it's about bringing strategy into the process. So when you talk to someone, they already have a sense of knowing you, liking you, trusting you. Dale Carnegie talked about that for many years. But the key differentiator in 2023 and beyond is yes, know, like, trust, but see you as the authority. And that's what marketing does. And that's the thing that has shifted my business. When I started my business, I started executing with marketing and with the sales process and bringing them together congruently in alignment with one another. And that's one of the things that I help my clients with. So yeah, here's sales, but you need marketing and you need both of those working together.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, I'm glad you even mentioned that because even though I've been following you, that helps put a new perspective of what you do in my mind as well. And I would totally agree that, while they are very distinct skill sets, sales and marketing, one thing I learned as I was studying both was really it's for me, this is just how I see it. It's really like two sides of the same coin, which is just persuasion. Because on the one side, it's you're getting attention and you're drawing the conclusion to, hey, here I am, here you are, there's something to be done here in the marketing side. And then the sales conversation really moving through those. So while they do have very different techniques, of course, at the end of the day, the goal is the same, which is to persuade and lead somebody to take a different action so they can get a better result. So that's really cool that you bring both of those together for your clients. And per the name of this podcast, here we're talking about how clarity plays a role into this as well. What I found is when you get to a granular level, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, or even operations, once you understand clearly the path towards success, those systems and what they look like, then actually doing it becomes a lot simpler. Because you could, like you mentioned in your own story, you were doing the calls, doing this and that, but not seeing any results. But until your mentor came and took you aside and showed you, hey, this is where you need to be operating, that's what gave you the ability to move forward. So I'd be curious to know for you in your process, high level, of course, what are the key areas that your clients need to get clear on in order to have success with these sales and marketing principles that you give them?
Well, let me just address something that you just said, just to make sure. I wasn't doing the calls. That was the problem. I had what we call reluctance. Because
Yes.
I didn't, it was something new. This script, it didn't sound like me and it was uncomfortable. Okay. So I
Good
wasn't
point.
doing that. So then so that was the reason. If you're not doing anything, the problem is your attitude and your perspective and your mindset. Okay. So to help my clients get clarity, and I'm all about, this is one of my values, what I live by. Clarity comes through execution. When you have clarity, you have confidence. And when you have confidence, then that moves to momentum to continue to move forward. But as you're executing and you're learning something new, it's going to be flawed. So the first thing I do with my clients is I have them create founding documents. I call it a sales and marketing mission statement. And it's about getting absolute clarity on who their target audience is. What are the outcomes? People don't care about you, Jesse. They don't care about me.
Nope.
They may care about the outcomes we provide for them. And that's why they'll work with us. So we get real clear. Here's who I work with. Here's their problem. Here's the outcomes. This is the hell they're in because I'm not working with them. And I have them go deep here because it's important to understand that they're not only facing a problem, but that problem is keeping them awake at night. It's affecting them as they're going into their weeks because this problem is recurring over and over and over again. And then they become your clients. You have an onboarding process. You take them from the hell into the heaven. I have them develop out their why, i.e. Simon Sinek, why you do what you do. It's very important to understand that. And then what are the obstacles? Because this is key. When my clients first started working with me, well, Chaz, this happened or this happened. So I'm like, okay, list the obstacles right here and now. I don't have time, or I'm fearful, whatever it is. And then I give them a strategy up front so they don't have excuses from not taking action. So that gives them clarity. And this is something they read through 2 to 3 times a day. And it gets into the reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters out what's important from what isn't. You get a new car, Jesse. Hey, everybody else has this make and model car. They were there before, but they weren't important to you. So this helps them get clarity. And with clarity, as I mentioned, gets confidence. And when you have confidence, then you have momentum to take action. So that's the foundation. Without that foundation, you could do a lot of activities and whatnot, but you don't have this. And without a foundation, a house won't stand. You won't stand as a business.
Right. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's come up a couple times that really getting the clarity is where the action becomes a lot better or a lot easier, at least, because you can be taking a lot of action and without clarity not be getting a lot of results. But a lot of people, including myself, find ourselves in the other position that you mentioned, where when something is new and you're not quite sure how to do it or whatever, you get into this like skill aversion kind of mode where whatever you're here ready to do, you still like pull back from. And I find that what you just mentioned about the reticular activating system particularly is when you can identify what it is you need to do, then it's everywhere. And then you're like, oh, of course, this leads to confidence, leads to results. And so it starts with that level of clarity. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing I always ask my podcast members is, we do this a lot for our students and our clients, of course, but often it's because it's something we've learned for ourselves too. So I'm curious for you, like you mentioned that you've been through a series of journeys as well, but was there any particular moment of clarity for you, like in particular, where having that new awareness where it was the point where you were able to really move forward to that action, to confidence, and then to results later? Not just when you were a rep at the first company, but really just moving into the stage you are now with the clients that you serve.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what's that one secret that will take you from here to there, that one thing? And if you want to categorize it as one thing, first and foremost, I would say it's a multitude of little tiny different things. Big fan of the book. You even you commented on my post the other day about Atomic Habits is great.
Yes.
And that's where it talks about those 1% changes you make. And when you do it, this is the 1% rule. Everyone out there, get the book, Atomic Habits. You'll be glad you did. If you make 1% changes each and every day, you'll be 37 times further ahead in a year, 12 months. So, but if I said one thing, it's my mindset. Now, our mindset is because our brain constantly lies to us. You're an imposter. You don't have what it takes. You know what? You screwed up. You're going to continue to screw up. So you got to get control of your thoughts. I was talking with a client just like 45 minutes ago, and he's doing a live event. And he's like, I'm like so stressed out. This is his first event. He has a new business. I'm so stressed out about this, and I just wanted it to be right. He's he has a PhD, and he's going to talking to other people, PhD pharmaceutical companies who are going to be in his event. And he goes, you're going to be criticized. I said, dude, stop. I said, have you ever seen a caterpillar, the metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a butterfly? He's like, well, I haven't really like watched it, but I've seen it happen. I said, when my brother was a kid, he saw a caterpillar coming out of the cocoon, and he saw that it was struggling. And so he ripped it open to make it easier. And that caterpillar came out and looked like Frankenstein, because that pressure and that struggle that it was going through, that the caterpillar gets out of the cocoon, it causes him to become a beautiful butterfly. And I said, Peter, I said, you're doing something new. This is the pressure. And this goes to the answer to your question. You have to embrace that challenge, and that this is part of having a growth mindset. It's not about just the destination. It's about embracing the journey and the struggle. This has been a lifetime struggle. And I'm even here in my 50s now, I'm finally beginning to realize and understand. Embrace the journey and the struggle, as opposed to just saying, I want to get to this end game here. Have you ever read The Gap in the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy?
I have not, but I think I know what you're talking about, but please do elaborate.
Yeah. So the gap in the gain. The gap is, and this is for everyone out there listening to this will change your life. The gap, and I've been so guilty of this, Jesse. The gap is, you get to a certain point, it's like, yeah, but I wanted to be here. So you're comparing yourself where you believe you may be with an idea and a thought in your mind. That's a way to destroy your self-confidence, to destroy your mindset, to destroy your attitude. The gain is comparing yourself to where you are, to where you've been. And if you constantly do that, then that's where you get confidence. And if you're not making progress, then you got to be honest with yourself. It's like, wow, I didn't make much progress here. I need to make some changes. But if you focus on the gains as opposed to the gap, that will revolutionize your thought process and how you look at things. In our thoughts, our mind, this is our biggest obstacle. It also could be one of our greatest resources, and we need to get control of our thoughts and our mind so we influence them and they don't influence us, until we took them through a process of refining them so that they're to serve us as opposed to fight against us.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like being there with them, but not succumbing to their limiting beliefs as you go, really being able to be there for them. Thanks for the book recommendation. And I'm glad you're mentioning it, because this is something that I've kind of had my own smaller revelation about, which is very, very similar. A lot of times, like you said, we're guilty of this too. As we go out our journey, we hit newer and newer successes. We forget just how far we've come because we didn't get to another milestone. It's like, oh, well, this is for naught. And what I realized was the biggest thing you can do, like for everybody watching as well, if you're in a place where you feel like you're not making progress or what you're doing has not yielded good results, instead of looking at your goal as I didn't accomplish XYZ in this time frame, take away the time frame. That's the thing that helped me recently was, okay, well, forgetting when I wanted to have this done, if I look back at how I've actually accomplished all of my goals. I don't know if you realize that, but if you look at your goal list, you have a bunch of things you have yet to do and you've already done. If you take away time, you have accomplished every single thing you wanted to do up until this point. And it's a really liberating thing to realize that, because then you realize you're right. The only thing that's blocking me is what's between my ears, because that means there's no reason we can't continue to move forward and accomplish newer and newer goals, the gains, so to speak. And so,
Mhm.
and also there's a bit of a trap too when it comes to clarity is if you're in that caterpillar situation where you're struggling, and you feel like, oh, maybe I don't have clarity on what I should be doing. Well, sometimes you are exactly where you should be, even if you're struggling, because we all need that pressure at certain times. And sometimes the clarity is just knowing that, hey, is what I'm doing right now the very thing I need to do to push to the next level? Okay, well, then that's all I need to focus on. There need be nothing else, and there need be nothing else that we worry about or want for, because we have what we need, even if it's not the most comfortable. And I know that's the hard logic for everybody to take, myself included, but I would say that's really helped me in my modes and moving to the next thing. Is that kind of what you were getting at, Chaz, as well?
Yeah, it's back to the caterpillar. So that pressure, I mean, you are that caterpillar, and that pressure is the thing that's forming you to become who you were created to be. And so embracing that pressure if you can have an anchor mindset that keeps you stuck in mediocrity, facing challenges, or you can have a springboard mindset that takes you into your potential when you face challenges. And so if you shift your perspective, it's like, oh man, this challenge, I'm going to do this. Oh man. And you realize, hey, this challenge is here to grow me. I interviewed um, Joy McAdams, who's a mom of five, who's an Ironman athlete, and she's a business owner and a TEDx speaker. And she's big into growth mindset. And I'm doing a one-on-one session with her here next week. She's constantly talking to me about the pressure and enjoying the journey, because that's where you grow. And when you change your perspective from an anchor to a springboard perspective and realize, Carol Dweck, who wrote the book Mindset, this is fixed
Mm-hmm.
growth, fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
This
When
is
you
another
focus on
great book recommendation, by the way, for
yes, it
everybody.
is.
You hear us talking
It
about
is.
growth mindset? This is the book.
This is the book. She's the one who came up with the term growth mindset. I think she's a professor at Stanford. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so she's focused on that. And I've been talking to Joy for many years, but now it's finally sinking in. And even this week, even though I've grown so much in this area, I'm like, I do ice baths every day. And usually when I get in the ice bath, I've been doing it for 3 years now, 4 years. It's like, I just am focusing on what I'm going to feel like afterward.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, hey, I'm just going to enjoy the submersion in the cold and start to appreciate it during the process in the journey. And that ice bath example can be any challenge that you're facing. It could going back to the caterpillar and the cocoon. All those things that provide pressure, that take you out of your comfort zone are there to grow you. As long as you have the perspective and perception that yes, it is. But if you get to the place, it's like, why does this always happen to me?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the questions you ask yourself will determine the direction of your life. Ask yourself stupid questions, your brain will say, because you're an idiot. Or if you say, what can I
You'll
learn
get
from
the
this
answers.
situation?
Even worse.
Yes, exactly right. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, it does. And I, you brought up another subject that's so good that I'd kind of forgotten about, but the the questions you ask yourself really do matter, because if you ask yourself, why isn't this working? Like you said, your brain's going to give you a whole list of why things aren't working. But if you change it to like we said, the anchor versus the springboard, focusing on the growth side of it, what am I getting out of this experience? How is this impacting my future growth? Oh, this is creating me to be the person who can achieve 10x, 100x, 1000x what I'm doing right now. That's something you can get excited about. So whether it's thinking about the literal outcome, how you're going to feel on the inside, or just the knowing that this kind of struggle is what's going to produce the better, more long-term results, that's something that definitely helps move through those difficult circumstances, whether it's in sales or just personally or what have you. So I would encourage all of you to take that with you in terms of not motivation, but just just take that when you're going through these things, because that's what really can help you get to the other side. So I
Enjoy
appreciate
the
you.
journey.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all a journey. And yeah, I have another great friend. Her name is Mary Jo Hilliker, and she was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Fabulous mindset coach as well, all about growth mindset, how to choose, all that kind of stuff. And so check that out if you hadn't seen it a couple of weeks ago. Chaz, thank you for joining me again today. For anybody who wants to connect with you more, if they're having trouble with their sales, or if they just love your approach when it comes to bringing sales and marketing together, what's some ways that they can connect with you?
Yeah, so a couple things. So first and foremost, you have LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn frequently, just Chaz Horn. If you view my profile or you connect with me and just mention Jesse, then I'll know how you came to find me. Or you can just email me. And this is something, can I give something to all your guests that listen to this? Is it cool to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So if you email me, chazhorn@chazhorn.com, just first, last name, no underscore, dot, or anything like that, or hyphen, just chazhorn@chazhorn.com. Just put in the subject line, sales and marketing analysis. I'll take 20 minutes for anyone who listens to this broadcast and just put sales and marketing analysis, Jesse, and we'll schedule 20 minutes. I'll analyze your sales and marketing process, your sales process, your marketing strategy using the acronym TABS. By the way, that's what's behind me
Yes, I was going to
my
say, I
whiteboard.
see that I've been on the hand. So
Yeah.
that's give them something to look forward to, right?
Yeah. So just do that. And if you connect with me, I do live events on LinkedIn, and you're welcome to join me there.
Awesome. Thanks, Chaz. Yeah, and this will be broadcasted on LinkedIn anyway, and so both of our networks will see this. So everybody, thanks for coming out for this special session with Chaz. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.